to let me see. I see we got somebody requesting to come up. Yeah, Rob, how you doing tonight? You got something you want to add?
Yeah, I don't know if I can be for the whole space, but my question is, if Kamala Harris deserves to be running for president, why the Democrats keep pushing out Gavin Newsom out there for the Democrats? That's an issue I got. I don't know if that question should be for anybody, but I just find that weird, and you know that weird. He comes from, yes, he's in California, whatever. He's a Democrat, but meanwhile they're pushing him to debate DeSantis and whatnot. And Kamala Harris, being vice president, if anybody should be pushed by the Democrats, it should be her.
Now, did Newsom come out and say that he wasn't going to challenge Biden? Did he come out and say he wasn't going to be running against Joe Biden?
No, but to me, yeah, he wasn't going to run against Joe Biden, but I'm not sure, but I don't know if there's, Joe Biden is elderly, I don't know if he's going to end up running, but meanwhile, the Democrats are like basically fishing. You know what I'm saying? They're putting somebody out there and so on and so forth. And I know Kamala would not step on Joe Biden's toes, but the Democrat Party are pushing Newsom out to debate DeSantis, who's running, and so on and so forth. Even though he's saying he's not going to go against Joe Biden, but they're still basically like it's a get out of jail free card in case Joe Biden, the team decides not to rerun again. They're putting Newsom in position that he can be a nominee, and that's my issue. That's the only thing I just wanted to mention.
Okay, appreciate that. With Kamala, she's not gonna, I think with people when they're looking at Kamala Harris as potentially the next vice president, a lot of people think with Joe Biden's age that if he was to win re-election, you know, he'll be something like 86 years old. I think when his term would be up, and a lot of people, you see the stumbling and the bumbling. A lot of people don't think that he is physically, or even some people even suggest mentally, they think that he's at the level where he'd be able to actually finish out his term. So that's what Kamala Harris comes into play. A lot of people think that, hey, okay, if he can't finish it out, then naturally the vice president will be pushed in there as the next president. Some people also think that, hey, if he does win a re-election and he serves his 4 years, and potentially, depending on how that how his candidate how his presidency goes, that she could be potentially the next president after him. But I think a lot of people more so than anything just feels that, hey, with his age and perhaps his health and everything else, he would be the oldest man to leave the White House, the oldest person to leave the White House, or oldest man, because there's only been men as presidents. He'd be the oldest president to leave the actual office, and people just don't think that physically he'll be able to hack it. So they just feel like naturally, hey, okay, they'll slide her right in, and that's how she become the first ever female president. I don't think particularly that if she had to actually run as a candidate that she could actually win on her own. I just don't think she has the approval and the backing of enough Democrats and enough of the Democratic Party and enough of the voters out there to really secure the actual nomination. I think the only way she could actually become the next president would be to, pretty much inherit the position, not so much win it, but to inherit it, because Joe Biden was just not capable health wise, or of just being able to be the president.
Oh, and I hear you on that, but I'm going to play devil's advocate on this because the Republican Party is kind of tore up right now, which is a good thing for Democrats because there's gonna be the always Trumpers, no matter who's running. Remember, that's the way it's coming off. And then there's gonna be a Republican nominee, which is I think is not gonna be Trump, but Trump is gonna garner regardless write-in or whatever. So whatever votes they're gonna get right now is gonna end up being split unless Trump is the nominee, and then I still don't know what happens. So to me, honestly, right now is whoever runs on the Democratic Party is, unless Kennedy or mental faculties, his health, and so on and so forth. And that will be the main issue. So to me, literally, in my opinion, Kamala Harris, she can have 0 approval rating, but she'll get enough Democratic votes because the Republican Party is going to be so split. But whoever runs, will win.
I may have to disagree with that. I know you're playing devil's advocate. I just don't think I just don't think she'll just get enough votes, even with the way that the state of the Republican Party is. I think and there's Judge Joe Brown. He's up in the House right now. Let me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hit. Can you hear me, Dana?
Yeah, you know what? I'm on my computer, so now you could request to speak via your desktop. Okay, I just tested it.
Okay. Well, shout out to you. We got Judge Joe Brown up in the house as well, too, guys. So shout out to Judge Joe Brown. Judge Joe Brown, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Well, how you doing tonight, sir? It's been a while, and it's good to have you up in the space as always. I'm glad to see you up in here. How you doing?
Okay, been campaigning. It's a little rough when it's 90 degrees and 100% humidity outside, but got to do these things. Sweat a little.
Yes, sir. And how is your campaign? If you don't mind me asking, how's the campaign coming?
Well, in one sense, it's going very well. The other one is kind of weird. The mainstream media is talking about there are 16 candidates, actually. 17 if you include me, but they won't mention my name because to mention my name helps me to win. Because I don't need the campaign. I've been doing that for 35 years around here. People know who I am and want me. I've had people walk up and say, why don't you run for mayor? I am. You are? Okay, wow. But see, the election's October 5th, so their tactics are not going to work. We've got billboards up in alternative media, social media, and just door-to-door stuff. One of the most effective ways of campaigning is to hang out in parking lots for grocery stores and pharmacies, not malls, because anybody could be there, but grocery stores and pharmacies, and just shake hands and pass stuff out to all of the people who have to go in these places and shop. And people usually know, they usually go to a grocery store in their neighborhoods, which means since it's citywide, anybody you're running into is likely to live in Memphis and not Arkansas nor Mississippi. So it's good.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I know you have the barbecue sauce as well too. So you're entrepreneur on top of a judge, and hopefully the next mayor of Memphis as well too. So we're definitely rooting for you on that aspect as well.
There's one other thing too. I just had an interesting part in the movie a sister is doing, and it's called The Forbidden, The Affair. And I play a crooked official who's also the hidden godfather of the syndicate organization. So it's interesting. We shot it in Baltimore and also some parts in the surrounding area, and also some stuff to be done in Los Angeles. So they're having a bid war on whether or not it's going to be a standalone movie, a movie franchise, or a franchise like on Netflix or something like that. So watch out for it. It's interesting.
Well, definitely, Judge. Keep us posted on that as well too, and shout out to you on the big screen as well. Well, that's not even new to you either. I mean, because you were on TV for 20 some odd years, so you already
a movie or two also. I didn't play any big parts, but I was in the background.
Okay. Judge, I want to ask you a quick question before we got started. We get up into the actual topics, and it's two topics in particular I want to touch up on: the Kamala Harris and her potential chance of being the next president of the United States. And also, I don't know if you heard, but I'm gonna read this article with Cori Bush receiving $15,000 for teaching a reparations teaching course, co-teaching the course at George Mason University as well too. So I want to touch up on those two topics tonight. Plus, maybe we'll touch up on a couple other like trending topics as well. But I wanted, because we had this in the space the other night, and I tagged you, and I just wanted to get your expertise on it, because we had one of our usual listeners in here, and we were talking about somehow we were talking about court and everything else, and lie detectors came up, and I was saying that lie detectors are not admissible in court or whatever. And I was saying that most lawyers, because we had a young lady and it was assisting like, yeah, well, this person could take a lie detector. And I'm like, well, most lawyers tell their clients not to take lie detector tests.
No, you never take a lie detector test unless you got a guaranteed thing of we won't even go any further if your client wants to do it. See, first off, that stuff on stupid, because you don't have to prove that you didn't do it. In the United States, an accusation that you did something is presumed to be a mistake, because there is another presumption, and that is of innocence that stands as a witness for you until it is removed by clear and convincing evidence that beyond a reasonable doubt you did the crime. It has to exclude every other reasonable possibility except that you committed the crime. Even if a person on a jury believes you did it, if they have to intellectually acknowledge that something else could have happened, they have to acquit you. You don't have to prove you didn't do it. Now, in France, you do. You're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. In the United States, you're innocent until you prove yourself guilty. So you don't need to take a polygraph. You don't have to help the other side out with their case. Eventually, you can just say, fuck, you prove it.
So quick question, Judge, and being a former lawyer and judge as well too, if you had a client and the client was saying, I want to take the actual polygraph test, and let me ask you this too, because we see on TV all the time on these little shows and stuff like that, because I've heard that people can actually pass this stuff. There's certain people that know how to teach people how to pass. Are these things reliable, the polygraph test?
No, they're not. To give you the background, the person that invented them also invented something else, Guess what it was? The cartoon strip Wonder Woman. He was a sadomasochistic freak. He and his wife had a girlfriend that they modeled Wonder Woman on, and he was into dominance and submission. And that lasso of truth, the ring of submission, and all of that stuff that Wonder Woman has, that was so he and his wife could get their fantasy off. They got whipped and rough traded, by their dominatrix who stayed with them. So he's the one that came up with that concept of polygraph. Now, the polygraph can be beaten, but it also can be corrupted. For example, strap somebody in and you say, "Do you eat your wife?" Cooking, and he's freaking out because he thinks somebody's asking him, does he go down on his wife? And wouldn't that be embarrassing to say he ate out more often, But it's all kinds of ways you can go. It's just the novelty of the thing, and people react sometimes not to whether it's true or not true, but the possibility of messing up. They get nervous, so they're not reliable. Now, there is one thing that I have seen demonstrated. It's got 42 categories, and they go from bright red to deep green. And what it does is it analyzes a person's body language and tone of voice. See, when you talk, only 15% of what you're saying consists of the words you say. 35% consists of the tone, and about 50+% consists of your body language. So what they do is they don't have to hook anybody up. They just get a clear video recording of somebody like Putin, or used to be Bin Laden, or Rocket Man in North Korea, and they would do a graphic reproduction of his body gestures and such, analyze that in the tone, and they could pretty much tell you what the person was actually trying to say or what the actual truth of the matter was. That's a different kind of thing because it's not a polygraph test, and you don't even need to hook the person up to it. All you need is a video. But speaking of video, most disturbing thing I've seen the last week is them getting arrest warrants for Mississippi for misdemeanors down in Alabama for that mess on the river, for what they saw off of video without having any eyewitness to swear to it, because American law has been long clear. You can't arrest anybody for misdemeanor unless there's an outstanding warrant for it, sworn to by a witness, or a misdemeanor was committed in an officer's presence. So they've already corrupted that with domestic violence situations. So you don't have to have the officer actually present to witness it. He can be told about it, which does all kinds of damage to the big picture, but public demand being what it is, we sometimes throw the baby out with the bathwater. So there are a lot of things like this. Taking a polygraph test is absolutely ridiculous, like proving. And see, most of the time when people start talking about they got done wrong, they're bullshit. Because the truth of the matter is for more than a half century, just a little more than 2% of the people in the American penitentiaries got found guilty by a jury. 97.5% pled guilty and 84 to 87% confessed. And when you look at the tapes now, they have the confession, and the guy's talking about he's going for OG and he upheld the posse, and they put the case on him in line. And you're looking at somebody punked out with snot running down his nose, tears running all down his face, calling for his mom, and the cop telling him he needs to get a lawyer or they'll stop. He's telling him he just wants to see his mommy. And they're telling him his mama can't come in since he's an adult. And he tells on all his homeboys. And then when you hear him out there in the courtroom, he's talking about how bad he is. If you practice criminal law as a lawyer, you know that your clients tell their kinfolk all kinds of lies about what they didn't do or did do. And that's got nothing to do with the reality. And you look at it, I can't say anything under attorney-client. But why you lying through your damn teeth? You cutting off a lot of help you might be able to give. You weren't there. Now you telling me the guy that is identifying you as a liar because he couldn't see you, because he was lighting a cigarette, you were hiding behind the dumpster, so he couldn't have seen you. Well, how the hell do you get yourself behind the dumpster to see him at the scene and you aren't even supposed to be there? See, you get all kinds of BS. And one of the worst I get is this: they shouldn't have shot him. He ran because he was scared of the police. Kill his punk ass. Be brave and stay there. If you tried to get away from a crime, get your ass away. Take your chances. Don't whine about it. Scared of the police, is punked out. There's a whole big thing in human history and human culture about the consequences of being a coward. So that's not all right. The world does not work on the basis of a participation ribbon where nobody wins, because in the real world, you win, you live, you lose, you die quite often. So we need to get ready for that. I posted something today about the 761st Armored Battalion, and that's the Black Panthers. That's where the name came from. The Deacons for Defense and Justice in Loudoun County, Louisiana, adopted Black Panther as their image. The Black Panther Party later adopted the same imagery. Some of them had been in the 761st. So read what the brothers had to say about acceptance of death, and that being a prep to doing what you had to do to fight a war. See, you can't be a coward. You got to be brave. But I digress. So let's see. We're talking about Come Queen.
Yes, sir. I want to ask you that. We're going to talk about that. And also, I don't know if you heard about Representative Cori Bush. Like I said, a $15K she got for teaching co-teaching a reparations course at George Mason University. So I want to go ahead and Hey y'all, I see the co-host up in here. Shout out to DJ Professor. I see Mimi requesting. Don't let Mimi come up here. Straight up. Don't let Mimi. Don't send her up here. But yeah, um, yeah. I want to touch up on those two topics, Judge, and then we're gonna get to the hands as well, guys. We'll get to the hands, but I want to real quick let the judge hear this article real quick about Cori Bush, and then Judge, you go ahead and share your expertise, what you feel on this situation, and then everybody that wants to ask the judge a question, they can as well. Too, got an article from Neo Jim Crow says squad member Representative Cori Bush made 15K teaching course on reparation. U.S. Representative Cori Bush pocketed $15,000 for teaching a university summer course on reparations, according to her financial disclosure report. The Missouri Congresswoman and longtime champion of offering cash reparations to Black Americans as compensation for slavery earned a dough from George Mason University for co-teaching a reparations course. The course is expected to focus on truth-telling process as well as state-sponsored violence against African Americans and other targeted groups, the school said in a news release. Bush is a member of the Squad, a loose alignment of far-left House members led by AOC. During her time in Congress, Bush has emerged as a champion of reparations, long a fringe issue among even her Democratic colleagues. In May, Bush introduced a budget-busting $14 trillion reparation proposal, about 7 times the amount the United States spent on the war in Afghanistan. Black people in our country cannot wait any longer for our government to begin addressing each and every one of the bits of harms, all the harms it has caused since the founding, that it continues to perpetuate each and every day across communities all across this country, Bush said at a news conference at the time. Bush's role at George Mason was first reported by Fox News. So, real quick, Judge Joe, what's your opinion on Cori Bush getting 15K from George Mason to go ahead and just teach a reparations course?
How many core classes does she have to teach? Is she going to be a professor who grades or what?
Now that it didn't say in there.
Well, then you need to know, because 15K for a professor's salary teaching a course is kind of on the low side, actually. That's what I used to charge educational institutions to showing up and speaking for an hour. So it is what it is. Now, one thing, she wants to do something, introduce the legislation. If you want to see what the chances are, well, go to Vegas or check Vegas. Vegas takes bets on such things and see what the odds are on reparations. It's interesting. It's nice. But about the only way you're going to get one legally in the United States right now is through an Appropriations and Enablement Act, they call it, through somebody's legislative body. State-wise, they can do it, but they're not likely to be able to establish a class, let alone pay for it. And the U.S. government certainly can't. 2017, the gross income for the United States was a little over $19 trillion. So 13 trillion is about 400,000 for the number of accounted Black folk acknowledgments and such. If you take 400,000 for the numbers that are estimated, you get somewhere $14 to $16 trillion, which is not going to be something that's likely to happen. You see, you talk about the Defense Department, and basically the highest it's been in the last 20 years is somewhere around $700 billion. So there are how many billions in a trillion? There's 10 billion, 100 billion, and then you get to 1,000 billion, and then you get to 9,000 billion, and when you get to 100,000 billion, then you get to 1 trillion. So
Let me ask you a question on that, Judge Joe, because I know they're talking about the 14 trillion, and of course, all of that, nobody expects all of that to be paid at
that's
once.
my number, by the way. She stole it from me because I published that about 4 or 5 years ago, and that was a little diatribe back and forth. So she's using my figure.
What about breaking it down, Judge? Like, of course, we wouldn't expect the U.S. to spend that kind of money in 1 year, but what about $1 trillion over 14 years or something like that, or a half, or 500 billion over X amount of years or something like that, till you're actually able to pay it off. And who just let Mimi up here when I just said, hold on 1 second, Judge, when I just said don't bring Mimi up here? I just said don't bring up here because we got time for that, all of that nonsense tonight. So go ahead, Judge. Co-host, real quick. Do not let Mimi come up here to speak. Straight up. Go ahead, Judge.
Here's what I'd say. I'm for reparations. This is the third time in my life that it's come up. My parents told me it came up twice. My grandfathers indicated separately it came up at least twice in theirs, and one of them was actually born in 1850 before the Civil War. So he was 15 when reparations, in terms of 40 acres and one arm mule, actually was being doled out. So some people in his side of the family were trying to get it. But in any event, it's nothing new. And although I'm for it, I think we need to start looking at this. Is it going to be something that lets us make money off of it, or is it going to be something that just gets quickly transferred elsewhere? See, one of the nasty little things about welfare is some of the people that spoke out against it most vocally on the far right were actually supporting it behind the scenes because it was them or their buddies who actually wound up with the welfare check because it got spent in their grocery stores or corner markets or in their early equivalents of the dollar stores and such like. So we don't need to get it in terms of dead-end money. We need to get it in terms of what's the biblical thing? You can feed a man a fish, or you can teach him to fish so he can feed himself. In other words, do something so he can produce with it. So we need to get into that. I have some ideas, but most of the people talking, they just want to appoint a committee, so there'll be a lot of petty cash around that there and their buddies can steal. So just be careful what you listen to.
Absolutely. You got a couple hands up, Judge. I'm gonna go ahead and get to them, guys. Right now we stand on a topic. So once the judge covers the topics, we're talking about the Cori Bush and Kamala Harris as well, too, Judge, because I want to hit up on that as well, too. What you just believe about her chances of potentially being the president of the United States. A lot of people think that if Joe Biden gets reelected, that health wise he may not make it. I'll go ahead before you get to that, and I'll get to these hands real quick. Shepard and Dat Nika. Shepard, go ahead and unmute your mic. Shepard, you in the room? I don't know if Shepard. What'd you say, Shepard?
I said, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, great. I'm outside, so there's a lot of background noise. Hey, peace, Judge.
Peace, brother.
Always good to hear you speak, man. I always learn some new esoteric fact from you, man. Something I never thought that I never knew it. That you always drop it. So I always listen to you. Let's talk about Cori Bush. 100% see the angle that the judge took. I don't think that angle to pop up because that's the New York Post is trying to throw salt on people, and the New York Post, if they make a article about reparations, it's never positive, it's never affirmative, it's never supposed to be in Black Americans' best interest. So anything from the Post, OAN, Fox, that's all just one entity that's against reparations. So I was already looking at the article skeptically just from who it came from. And then Judge just pretty much summed it figure for anybody who's teaching a course on anything in any college figure. That's a real light figure. So the way that they were trying to divide us over Cori Bush right now it's real simple. She's getting money on reparations before anybody's gotten reparations. That's the simple premise. That's the easiest way to say it. She's getting her reparations now. But I have to point you to the fact that Marcel Dixon ran on reparations and screamed reparations from the top of his lungs for over a year and got $350,000 in his campaign war chest. And some of the money he didn't even disclose. So that's number one.
Real quick, Shepard, let's not worry about Marcel, because Marcel's not in here to defend himself. So I don't know exactly Marcel's finances and everything like that. So let's go ahead and just, if you want to ask the judge something, go ahead and ask him. But Marcel's not in here to actually defend himself. So let's not go there. But go ahead, Shepard.
Okay, brother, you got to just hear me out.
Yeah, brother. I'm just saying, let's just not. I mean, if you got something to say, let's just not drag somebody else that's not in the space. That's all I'm saying. Well, no, brother. What I'm saying is that I'm saying the man's not in the space to defend himself. So let's not put him in it.
Cori Bush Marcel Dixon is a politician. Let's stop doing that. We can talk about Cori Bush. She's not in the space either. She's running for office. She's in Congress. Marcel is running for Congress. His funds are public information, as is Cori Bush's disclosure. It's no different. Let's not protect Marcel and act like he's not a politician who we can scrutinize. Well,
what I'm saying, hold on, Shepard. What I'm saying, real quick. No. What I'm saying is that whenever you had chances to actually talk to this man face to face or whatever, and y'all don't talk. So I'm saying what I'm saying. Hold on, man. I'm not saying anything. You were talking to Judge Joe Brown. Then you start bringing him in. This is an article that came from that's circulating around the actual media and stuff like that about Cori Bush. Now, if you want that, we're talking about Cori Bush. Cori Bush is the actual subject of the night's conversation, not Marcel Dixon. That's what I'm saying.
And I understand your point, but I am in contact.
Are you there? Because your mic done dropped or something.
Let me say this. If this was a courtroom, that would be an objection, and you'd have to show, sir, that what you're talking about is material and relevant to the issue at hand.
I agree, Judge.
That's what
so
you have.
Let me do that real quick. And I think now, I just did, and it was just overlooked.
Just to give you, look, both of you, if I can give you an access point so you can go look up generally reliable information. Go to followthemoney.org. Do not Google it. You won't get it. Just enter it directly into your browser. Followthemoney.org. Go through the rigmarole since the entity is transferring to a new site. But they compile all of the reported figures. They computerize them so they can be analyzed and see who's paying what to who, and who gets paid by who, and how much, and what the person who pays them is interested in. So just go there, satisfy your curiosity, and make it an issue when, let's put it this way, try thinking of it as a co-defendant who is charged with being part of the same crime, but is not being tried at the same time as the other, called the severance. So we severed one Democratic representative from another to consider the first one named separately and apart from the other to be approached later. Friday.
Yes, sir. Let me go ahead and get to Dat Nika. Dat Nika, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, bro, drop me real quick. This is DJ. I'm not sure what's up on my phone. And somehow Mimi got up here. There you go.
Okay. Go ahead, Dat Nika.
It's Nika, but that's cool, bro. You know, just letting you know. I hope y'all having a great Sunday. I looked at Miss Bush profile or whatever. First of all, she got pronouns in her bio. That's a red flag. Second of all, this person is asking people to give them $15K to teach them how to get reparations. So that means So you basically want the thing that I want the most. You want me to give that to you to teach me how to get the thing I want the most. That's a fucking rip. That's weird. Like, so, and good luck to you, Mr. Judge in Memphis, this upcoming election season as well. I think you are a man for that town, and you're an old school OG. You know how it works. You know how it's supposed to go. But yeah, that I think she's grifting, and I think a lot of people are going to grift. I think the more this reparations thing get traction, I think you're going to see a lot of grifters come out all over the place, and that's just what it is because it's money to be made. You know what I'm saying? It's like people got dreams and aspirations of things that they want, and there's always people that want to take advantage of that type of shit and profit off of that. So I think people should just be very weary. Like you said, like Judge said earlier, do the freaking rigmarole and do the knowledge and get, you know what I'm saying? Go into that stuff informed. Like don't look at these people like they're gonna do this for me. They're not doing shit for you. You gotta do it for yourself. They here to make money. You want reparations, this bitch want $15,000. Like, think about that. So you're trying to get money and she wants your money so to help you to get money. That shit don't even make sense, bro. Like, I know the hustle is like that. Does that make sense? That's like somebody saying, if you buy this crack from me, I'll teach you how to make your own crack. No, they're not going to teach you how to make your own. Come on, man. You got to apply real world street shit to like what they're doing because that's the streets. Politics is more street than the street. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere is the streets. So really think about it in terms of that type of stuff. And I really hope y'all have a good Sunday and eat some good food. But that's just my take on it. And as far as the reparations thing, just be careful of the grifters. And it's really going to take, you have to do for you in that situation. Ain't nobody going to help you get that shit because everybody in the rat race, and it ain't that much cheese out here. Even though they do print the money. That's another scam. They print the money. Read Creature of Jekyll Island. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to Roz. Roz, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, what's going on, Newstoter? How you doing, brother? And
How you
Judge
doing,
Joe,
Roz?
how you doing, Judge? I'm good. How you doing, Judge Joe?
I'm doing all right, dear.
All right, wonderful. I just wanted to make a couple quick points. I had put in the Jumbotron, the budget that we're talking about with George Mason. I'm not sure if they're operating. They operated on $1.25 billion for the school semester, right? I'm sorry, that's the annual budget. It's more than that. This is a 2020 budget I had posted. So, like Judge Joe Brown, I used to be in the entertainment world. People don't understand $15,000 is not a lot of money for a speaker or a person at a university. They can put her in there as an educator because what that's showing me more so than anything else is that a lot of these colleges and universities are actually trying to understand and learn about what reparations is. And because she's a congressman and they can ask her to come in for the summer and basically come in and speak. So she's speaking and she's talking about what she understands about what reparations is. But that's a positive sign that people are actually really trying to learn about reparations. Now, is she the only person that could come in and teach? Absolutely not. But she's probably the most accessible person to George Mason, which is in Northern Virginia, that they could reach out to with any kind of prominence and get students to pay for that class. We, as the general public, are not paying her directly to teach. I'm not a student at George Mason, and I didn't take her class, and I'm not an alum, so I didn't pay Cori Bush. That's the university that's paid her for the summer class. So I just wanted to make that clear. And the next thing I wanted to talk about, Judge, I got to turn and mute my mic and get my popcorn when you start talking about the vice president, because I'm all here for it. And I just wanted to say, love you and run, Judge Joe Brown, run and stay hydrated, sir. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Roz. Glad to hear from you. Let me go ahead and Sorry about that, Judge. I didn't mean to cut you off. And Judge, if you get a chance, put your link up in the actual jumbotron too, where people can go ahead and they can put your link for your barbecue sauce as well as for your actual campaign as well too, so people can go ahead and donate to you.
Okay. The link is at Judge Joe Brown TV. That's my Twitter thing.
Okay.
And let me say this. I was just at a function yesterday. It wasn't helpful to do what it was supposed to be about. It was a mayoral candidate. The Democratic women put on at Shelby County, Tennessee, which is where Memphis is located. It was at IDEW, International Brotherhood of Electric Workers, their union hall. We were asked questions, and everybody didn't get the same questions. 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes. Didn't do much good on making the selection, but one thing that happens afterwards, when I was just walking around listening to conversation, I heard one that made my ears perk up. What that was about was reparations being a way to open the door for funding for the LGBTQ community. So I heard an in-depth discussion. There were 4 women who held offices with the Democratic Party area who were discussing how to use reparations as a cover for something else. That's what you were saying about people hustling, the opportunity drifting. So just be aware that everything is not what it seems. Now, I passed the mic.
All right, appreciate that, Judge. Appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get to Friedman. Friedman, go ahead and unmute your mic, and then Rob, and then I'm gonna have the judge start to kind of go in a little bit on how he feels about Kamala Harris and her prospects of being the next president of the United States as well too. Freeman, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Peace. What's up, Newstoter, Professor?
What's up?
Yep, was good. And the Freeman family. So, and thank you for correcting that nigga shit earlier. Not allowing people to just do nigga shit on the stage. We're trying to have a constructive space. So, I guess when it comes to reparations and Cori Bush, if she's going to be teaching it, I personally don't support it. I am in agreement with Roz as far as there's colleges and universities who's willing to learn and receive the message of reparations, but not everybody is qualified to speak about reparations. And Cori Bush is one of those people who are not qualified to speak about reparations because if you read the language in her bill or proposed bill, there's no specificity in it. It's just another version of the HR 40 bill. So it lacks specificity as far as the eligible community who is owed reparations. So in her as a congresswoman or representative of Congress, she should know how important it is to have the language right and exact, which she does not have. So she's not even capable to do her job as a representative of Congress. I can't put or think that she's capable to even teach or inform the masses or college students about reparations when she's not even properly doing it in her own avenue of supposed expertise. So I don't support Cori Bush doing it, but I do support other grassroots reparationists or advocates, political advocates who are informed. Like, for example, Roz, she is an educator and she is more than informed and well informed when it comes to reparations. We have other organizations, the U.S. Freedmen Project, we have the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, DMV Freedmen. These are the organizations and people in those organizations who are more than qualified to spread the reparations message. And I think thus far we have been doing a lot of good work. Cori Bush is also attached to the legacy organizations who have a legacy of failure when it comes to reparations. This reparations conversation is not, it hasn't been elevated into the mainstream because of the narcs and the cobras of the world. It has been elevated due to the Newstoters of the world, the Freeman Reparationists of the world, the other organizations that I mentioned earlier. So, as far as I'm concerned, Cori Bush is not that person. But according to the 13th Amendment, she is qualified to legislate justice or eradicate and identify all the badges and incidents of slavery. So that's the least that she can do. But at the same time, she hasn't been doing that. And if she wants to do that, the first step is to get the language right. And in that language, it should be the American freedmen. That has to be our freedmen status that we have to stand on. So I crashed my plane right there. Thank you for the space. Great space, man. Peace.
All right. Thank you, Friedman. Thank you. Thank you. And we actually do have the judges' info up there. Well, it's up in the Jumbotron right now, guys, on the far left-hand side. If you want to go ahead and make a donation to it, Judge Joe Brown for mayor, it's up on the far left-hand side and the actual Jumbotron as well, too, guys. So definitely go ahead. Even if you're not standing, if you don't live in Memphis and you want to go ahead and support the judge, you can go ahead and do that. I just retweeted out as well, too. So shout out to everybody that's up in the space tonight. Shepard is crying, talking about I muted his mic and dropped him. All I did was mute your mic. I did not drop you, Shepard. So if you want to come back in here and speak and stay on topic, I'm fine with that. But don't sit up here saying I kicked you out of the space or dropped you or whatever, because I did not do that. So let me go ahead and get to Rob. We'll go ahead and get to Rob. Go ahead, Rob. Unmute your mic.
Thank you again for having me. I appreciate. Good luck to you, Judge Joe Brown. For running for mayor. I tried to post up in the comments everything that your spaces and your website and all. So I wish you well. I know it's not my conversation on reparations. The only thing that I can bring to the conversation is that people need to be very cognizant, like Judge Joe Brown said, when politicians do these task forces and they basically just hire buddies to take money to just, create something that they're really just doing to funnel money into their buddies. That's the thing that as Americans we need to be watchful for. Friedman actually spoke more about people that are actually qualified for it. But like in California, when they created a task force, to me it just seemed like the governor was just handing out checks to his buddies and created a task force, and that's what we need to watch out for. Thank you.
All right, appreciate that, Rob. Let me go ahead and get to Ray. Ray, and this is Judge Joe Brown's cousin right here. Shout out, Ray. What's going on? How you doing tonight?
What's going on, man? I'm gonna be really, really quick. So this is the first time I'm hearing about this whole Cori Bush situation. I've been hearing it and this is from Republican spaces. I've been seeing this. It's actually Michelle Obama that they're afraid of that's going to be running for president, that's going to go against Donald Trump. And I just want to hear the family's perspective on that. And with that, I fold my chair.
All right, appreciate that, Ray. That Nika, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Oh yeah, I think she would be like wildly popular if she ran. Like, just given who her husband is, people, black woman, right? Even though it's a lot of weird shit that's being said about him and her, especially now with the New York Post. But yeah, I think she would be wildly popular. What I didn't really want to take the mic. I just wanted to, before ask the judge about, baby girl from California, right, who's really a Brahmin. Before you ask the judge about the Brahmin trying to be president, I just wanted to see if that would, how does that correlate with this other guy? Because the Republicans also got a Indian too, right? So like, why are and then the Indians are like the CEOs of like a bunch of Fortune 500 companies. Like, y'all do know that, right? Like, these Indians got like powerful positions. So like, are these Indians trying to take over America or something? Like, I'm doing the knowledge to this, and I'm like, hold on, these Indians really, and they got the highest median income. Look it up. Among all ethnic lines, it is the Indian American with the so like, what the fuck is going on right now? And of people running out of water. So they really over that bitch thirsty and desperate. So they really, and they got nukes. So like there's all that connect before you ask the judge about the
connect exactly what you talking about. Vivek Ramaswamy and
Ramaswamy. I couldn't pronounce. That's why I said I can't pronounce it.
You talk about how he connects with Kamala Harris?
They're both Indians. Indians are Fortune 500. They like Indians. They're starting to dominate the CEO of Fortune 500 companies in America. You should check that out. East Indian Fortune 500 companies CEOs in America, as well as they have the highest median income. Like they're being aided. Ain't no way you can come to another country and just thrive like that. You got a motherfucker who's in the White House right now. You got a VP, and you running a presidential candidate, and you the Fortune 500 company CEOs, and you got the highest median income. Sound like the new white man to me. What's going on? Who helping you do this? Is the white man just letting you do this? What's going on? Why are you not hanging from a tree somewhere? What's going on? They just letting your ass do this. Like, we know how they get down, and they not doing that no more. So it must be a concerted, and these people got nukes. So it must be, and they finna do the brick shit. So it's like, it's a lot of, some people pulling strings, people betting against our land. Like, that's like, people really betting against where we live at. And I land there.
Real quick, because I see my boy Dusty Pookie left a comment. He's saying, why are some politicians off limits? He's saying Cori Bush ain't in the space to defend herself either. This was Cori Bush actually on her taxes that she actually put that she made $15,000 for a course in for teaching a course at George Mason. So this is actually something that could actually be proven to be as an actual fact. Somebody else saying something, and when they have a chance to have the dialogue with that person and they never have a dialogue with that person, when they have ample chances to have a dialogue with that person, if you have all of this evidence and stuff like that, then, Shepard can go ahead and he can go ahead and holler at Marcel about that, and they can have a dialogue. The space, like I say, the actual title is Judge Joe Brown on Cori Bush 15K reparations teaching course, and it's also by Kamala Harris as well too. So that's the thing. If he wants to have an actual conversation with him on it, because this time we had spaces and Shepard's been in here and Marcel came in here and Shepard ended up leaving. So if he wants to go ahead and say something to him man to man, he can go ahead and he can have a dialogue with him. They can have their own space as well too. So that's the point right there behind that, Dusty. If he wants to go ahead and he has the actual factual evidence, like they have with Cori Bush, and nothing, there's nothing criminal what Cori Bush did. Now, nobody's saying there's anything criminal about what she did. She got paid for teaching the course. That's not a crime. Some people don't like the fact that she got paid for teaching the course, but that's not a crime. And all we're doing is having a discussion about it. But if he wants to go ahead and he has all of this evidence and he's got all of this, he has all of this paperwork on him, then, go ahead and confront that man to man and talk to him or do whatever he wants to do. That's what I'm saying right here. That was not the actual topic. So I'm just, it's no offense, anything like that, Dusty. We roll together, but I'm just saying man to man, if you want to actually talk to another man or you got something to say about another man, go ahead and talk to that man. And when that man is in the space and whenever that man's in the space and you're in the space, you end up leaving the space. So that's real talk right there. Let me go ahead and move it. And before I go, Judge, I want to ask you this right here. I said we got a couple speakers up, but I got to go ahead and get to the Kamala Harris thing. There's some talk that Joe Biden, like I said, that if he does win, he'll be 86 years of age. People see him stumbling and bumbling all over the place. They're worried about his cognitive health. They're worried about his physical health. So no one thinks that Kamala Harris could actually win an actual election and become the actual president on her own, but there is a chance that, hey, if he got to the point where he was ill or something like that, he wins re-election, the 2024 re-election, that she could be, and I have the article, but I don't even see the point of reading it because I know you're going to touch up on a number of things, but I have the article also. It's in the Jumbotron, guys, on the far right-hand side, but there is a lot of people thinking that, hey, he'll be 86 years old. He'd be the oldest person to leave office or whatever. He wouldn't make it out. He wouldn't make it out of office, or he'd be too ill. He'd be too this, too that. That she would realistically have a chance of becoming the first woman. Some people say the first woman, the first African American, the first Asian American woman to actually be president of the United States. What's your feeling on that, Judge Joe? Make sure Judge Joe is there.
I muted myself. Let me put it this way. I met her father in Jamaica one time. We were sitting at the Governor General's dinner table. My now ex-wife asked him a few questions, including about what race he was. He published an article he wrote himself in the Jamaican periodical, and he called his daughter a liar and some other unsavory things. So she's claiming that her great grandmother is African American, and her father says that person who is his grandmother was just simply a Tamil Hindu house servant. So he says he's all Caucasian, Tamil Hindu Brahmin caste, and Irish. And the mama says she's Caucasian, Tamil Hindu Brahmin caste. Now, they call that kind something we've all heard, as he himself admits, the anthropological term is Aryan, Indo-Aryan. See, there's another lie that people bought into. Adolf and the Nazis said that Aryans were blonde-haired, blue eyes. There really are Aryans. They're known as Indo-Aryans. And they are swarthy, dark-haired, dark-eyed. Now, they have coarse, thick, dark hair. But tell a lie long enough, loud enough, you can get anybody to believe it. Now I'll put something to you. Somebody's black and white. What do they call them? White? No, they call them black. Some people have the conceit now that they're mixed. If you are black and Chinese, they call you Chinese. No, they call you black. Look at Tiger Woods. Well, Indonesian. If you are black and Asian, do they call you Asian? No, they call you black. But seemingly we get a little anomaly here because the Asians call Mrs. Imhoff Asian. Now, another question brings itself to the fore. Why does she call herself Ms. Harris instead of Mrs. Imhoff? I mean, she adopted her husband's children, so she's their mother. Then there's Mrs. Nancy Pelosi. There's Mrs. Feinstein. There was Mrs. Sarah Palin. So why do we have Miss Harris instead of Mrs. Imhoff? Is she trying to claim fame by lying about one status, that is being black, and then deny another status, which is being Jewish, by not using her married name? I mean, it is what it is. So what are we getting here? Just fake? And then, by the way, Miss Word Salad Annie here. The Europeans joke about her incompetence and how she can't speak clearly on any subject. She just grins and giggles like a hyena, literally. And she throws what they politely call word salad, which is just chopped up nonsense all heaped up into one mishmash without having any meaning to it. You saw this thing about her subordinate staff quitting because they said they did all this hard work and she was too lazy to go over it. Instead of briefing her and getting her so she spoke knowledgeably about stuff, she just throws nonsense out because she's too lazy to do her job. And that, by the way, was her reputation in California, too. So what are you getting? Are we falling trap again to appearances? And are those of such concern that we don't figure out what's most important? I mean, look, you can put frosting on a cupcake, or you can put frosting on a pile of shit. And if you bite into the cupcake because the frosting looks so nice, it's a real cupcake, you get something that's tasty under that. You bite into the shit with the frosting on it, you're going to get a mouthful of shit. And every time somebody bites into her ass, they get a mouthful of shit because she was not good as an attorney general for the state. She wasn't good as a district attorney for San Francisco. And she was not good as a senator for the United States. And she is not good as a vice president. And that would be an absolute disaster for this incompetent to be president of the United States. And you see, you know what's tragic about it? Most of her career has been spent hiking her hemline up until I guess maybe her thighs got fat, so now she wears pants to impress somebody. But when you are hitting the government like ours in a world where the largest country out there is People's Republic, and as someone was just alluding to, the second largest is India, where her people are. I mean, maybe that's what they have secretly in plan. Since she was not raised in the United States, though she was born in San Francisco at the same hospital my late ex-mother-in-law used to work at, and my ex-wife was born in. So she's a U.S. citizen, but maybe she's working for the Indians so they can get to the top of things, because she's certainly not working for us. So, I mean, just take it. I mean, I don't like the woman. I think she's a fraud, a fake, and I think her policies and her practices have been disastrous. Her whole political career, starting off from getting $72,000 a year for working 15 hours a week because she was screwing Mayor Willie Brown of San Francisco, and then she got up to $122,000 a year for working 20 hours a week because she was screwing Mayor Willie Brown of San Francisco. And that's when she was in law school, and then he got her a 750i BMW B12, real nice. She's a young cutie. And the LA Times carried a series of articles about how she screwed her way to the top of this, that, and the other, and they seem to have conveniently forgotten what's in their archives. They used to call them, well, anyway, I won't say what they call them. They call them a graveyard, but anyway, that's what the newspapers folk call that. So, is that what we really want? And then look what she did when she ran for president through the presidential primary. She did so poorly, she just withdrew. So she was, like always, put in position because of who she was associated with. That was Biden. He wanted to buy off the colored. Maybe his son was working up another scam with India, which wouldn't be surprising, especially in light of what I actually read on the transcripts for the 3 laptops, not one, that were downloaded. I got to read them. It's pretty incriminating, and even though everybody's presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, let's put it this way, from 50 years in the criminal justice business, criminal court judge, defense lawyer, ran the public defender's office for Memphis, first black prosecutor for the city of Memphis, etc., etc. He ought to be in a penitentiary doing long time for a number of things. Also, his daddy, too, who has a very strong set of cases against him. And under this Article 6 of the Constitution, the problem with him is that Article 6 says ratified treaties are part of the supreme law of the land and are to be followed by all judges in the nation, state and federal. And there is a certain ratified treaty negotiated by President Bill Clinton in 1999, and it says that the U.S. and Ukraine agreed to apprehend, detain, and extradite all parties wanted through legal process by the other signatory to the treaty. And Biden is the subject of a long series of organized crime indictments. So the Ukraine Supreme Court unredacted the indictment in question, organized crime indictment in question, in late October and early November 2020. So it's out there. You might want to take a look at it if they haven't tried to obscure it. But I don't think, honestly, that Biden and Imhoff have the best chance of prevailing unless they cheat. One quick remark on that. January 2021, the Justice Department issued that namby-pamby-poo slurp garbage about there were no significant discrepancies in the 2020 election cycle, but 2 days later, the same Department of Justice issued a report about Memphis and Shelby County that they had for 13 years at the time under their thumb, and they said once again the citizens of Memphis and Shelby County did not enjoy a fair election. As we have found previously, the election process was hopelessly corrupted due to the hacked, devolved voting machines that are in use in that county. It noted that they'd put the money up 2008, which was 13 years before that. And instead of the money being used for replacing machines, the Democratic controlled county commission had refused to replace the corrupted machines. It's an interesting juxtaposition. On Tuesday, so to speak, nothing was wrong. And on Thursday, wow, everything was wrong in this one county, which consists, well, as the 14th largest city in America located in it, which is the largest predominantly black city in the United States. That's Memphis. So I find that interesting.
Yes, sir.
I passed the mic.
Real quick, guys, let me go ahead up in the Jumbotron. We have the Newstoter YouTube channel up in there. We got a bunch of stuff in the Jumbotron, guys, so we don't need to add any more stuff in the Jumbotron. We got more than enough stuff up in there. The fifth on the right-hand side is the actual YouTube channel. For anybody that's in the space that has not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please make sure you go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can do that while the space is actually going on. For those on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, share, like, and comment on this broadcast. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe, share, like, and comment on the broadcast. Also, for those that don't know, Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. You can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. For those that do not have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron on the right-hand side. Once again, Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Let me go ahead and get to some of the hands up in the actual space as well, too. We got a new hand up here, so let me go ahead and get to Civic Crisis. Civic Crisis, go ahead and unmute your mic.
All right, thank you. And, if somebody else wants to go first, just because I'm new, I don't need to go first, but I appreciate the priority lane.
Well, no, you can go ahead because we already had people that spoke, so you can go ahead and we're trying to get to some new speakers, people that haven't had a chance to speak yet. You can go ahead and if you got something to say now, if you don't have anything to say, let me know, and then we'll just go to the other speakers. But if you have something that you want to ask the judge or speak on, go ahead and get it in.
Okay, well, on this topic of the Cori Bush, specifically Judge Brown and everybody, it's great to be in space with you guys on this topic. I think it's ironic that Cori Bush is going to be doing like what Kamala Harris did when she promised to pass some type of reparations bill. And she's like, I will sign it. And she's the vice president, but fails on every front she approaches, right? But that's neither here nor there. Just saying, Cori Bush, did money on teaching this course, maybe make it sound non-realistic, like you said, non-specific type things. Anyway, on Memphis and Cori Bush, she's made other statements in the past, like calling black police racist and calling racist policing system rooted in enslavement, and talking about how the policing is a tool of white supremacy and it's a racist architecture that underpins our entire criminal legal system. And she's totally hypocritical and has no basis for these claims because she supports Joe Biden and is running with the Democrat Party. So, with all that being said, you can comment on that if you'd like. But my question is actually something. With all that being said, how important is it running as an independent judge, Joe Brown, and being an independent-minded person, but also just running as independent in politics? With all this hypocrisy, like Cori Bush displays so well.
All right, give the judge a second. Judge, are you there?
Okay, I forgot to unmute. I'm running as an independent. I'm not a Democrat now, and I'm not a Republican now. I will support policies that either comes up with that I find to be functionally efficient. I will not glorify dysfunction. And anybody that can't get behind protecting womanhood and promoting manhood, I'm not going to deal with, other than countering. Now, I think normalcy is great, tolerance is great, freedom of speech and assembly is a great thing. The Second Amendment is a great thing, and anybody that supports these and upholding the rest of the Bill of Rights, fine with me. But so many do not, and they hypocritically try to get you to go along with diminishing your own rights, signing your own warrant to be incarcerated in a politically correct prison. So don't do it. Be independent. And remember, if you support one party, no matter what they don't do for you, and you oppose the other party, no matter what they try to do for you, then neither party has an incentive to do anything for you, because neither suffers for not doing it and neither gains for doing it. So get wise.
All right. Let me go ahead and get to Roz, and then we get you Freeman as well. Anybody else that wants to speak as well, too, don't be hesitant. Come on up here, raise your hand, and we will go ahead and we get you up here to speak as well, too. So anybody else, I want to get some new speakers up here. I know we got some speakers up here, but we got some other people up in the space. Judge Joe Brown is up in the space. Go ahead and definitely ask him some questions, because we're not going to keep the space open long tonight. I know the judge is probably tired because he's out campaigning and he's traveling around the nation and stuff. So we definitely don't want to keep him up too long and too long up in the space as well, too. So if you guys have any questions that's down there, listeners, make sure you definitely go ahead and come on up here to ask the judge a question. Also, you can get his information is up in the Jumbotron on the left-hand side. If you guys want to donate to the judge's campaign, it's the third on the left-hand side. You can go ahead and go straight and click that link. You can go ahead and make a donation for the judge as well, too. So definitely come on up here and definitely get it in while the judge is up in the space tonight. Let me go ahead and get to Roz. Roz, go ahead and unmute your mic.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to say real quick, I put the judge's campaign site on the Jumbotron. I think I did it twice. Sorry about that. But I just definitely wanted to say, when someone had spoken earlier, the judge had confirmed it, Vivek and Kamala are from Tamil, Brahmin. You notice they never, ever, he he never says anything to his political rival. He never says anything about her. And that's because they're both Tamil speaking Brahmin. And that should be somebody that normally he would have said, oh, well, Kamala this, X, Y, and Z. He never, ever goes in on her. So that's all the thing I always point out. Like, why aren't you talking against your political rival, the vice president? Her approval or disapproval, I should say, rating is at least 53%, and that's up in the Jumbotron also. And we got to realize that this woman is not going to win an election if she were to run for president. I totally agree with that. She hasn't really done anything but laugh like a little hyena. The entire time she's been in office, she hasn't stood on any kind of real issue. She's not even a great vice president. And matter of fact, I think her ratings are lower than Dan Quayle's, if y'all remember him. And on that, I'll step down. Thank you, Judge, and thank you, Newstoter, for having this space.
Thank you, Ross. Go ahead, Judge.
Actually, Kamala Harris is the lowest rated president or vice president. And out of any of the people who held those offices, president or vice president, the last 70 years, peculiarly, hers are even lower than Spiro Agnew, was Tricky Dick Nixon's vice president and actually served time in the federal system and in Maryland as a felon. So hers is lower than his. So good luck to them.
Thank you, Judge. Let me go ahead and get to Friedman. Friedman, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thank you. So again, Cori Bush is not the person to be teaching reparations in the university. As you can see, she is not even putting in the right and exact language in her legislation bill for reparations. She wants to include all people with melanin and brown skin, just like her legacy organizations who she is in cahoots with and supports. They support her and she supports them. So again, Cori Bush is not the professor or should be a professor teaching this reparations message. I pointed out earlier who should be doing that. That is us, the American Freedmen Grassroots. As far as Kamala Harris or Kamala Imhoff is concerned, she publicly said she's not going to do anything specific for Black people. What does that mean? She will not do anything or have any specific policy for the American Freedmen. And she said that. I don't know about any that, but I'm not aware of that at all. HR 40 is not reparations for the American Freedmen. It doesn't include direct cash payments exclusively for the American Freedmen. So anybody who supports HR 40 is not in full support of reparations, nor does anyone who fully support the 40 acres of the mule debt that's owed to the American Freedmen today are not true reparationists and not true reparations supporters. Great space. Thank you for the time. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Newstoter, Professor, and White People Institution. I appreciate that. Peace.
All right. Thank you, Friedman.
All right.
Let me go ahead and get to that, Nick. Like I say, Judge, we're not going to keep you long up in the space. It's a Sunday night, and I know you've been traveling. So, like I'm trying to get our people up here that want to speak. Y'all definitely come up here and ask a question if you want to speak, because we're not going to keep Judge Joe Brown up in here. I might ask him one trending topic in a little bit, and then, like I said, we're going to pretty much just let the judge enjoy his evening as well, or his night as well, too. That Nika. And also, guys, real quick, like I said before, because whenever we have the judge up in the space, and this goes to the Newstoter followers, like we never get anybody to support the actual program and broadcast. So tonight we're trying to get one of our followers to at least go ahead on Cash App and donate at least $1 to tonight's program. $1. That's it. $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Judge, you've been in this space like 5-6 times. I swear, we have never got a donation while you've been here. And we've had some big spaces with you. We've never got one person to donate $1 from the times you've been up in the actual space as well. Now, smaller spaces, people will donate, but in the bigger space, when you come, for whatever reason, nobody wants to donate. So tonight's space, we're trying to get, for everybody that loves Black-owned business, like they always say, And yeah, I'm putting it out there because this is Black Business Month. For everybody that loves Black-owned business, we're trying to get one of our followers that follow Newstoter. We're not talking about any new people in the space. We talk about strictly the followers who come to the spaces Monday through Thursday. And the nights of Sunday night space. We don't generally do Sunday nights, but tonight we're doing one. The ones who come to the Monday night to Thursday night spaces, the ones that see all the content we put out daily on Twitter, the 40, 50 posts a day of news-related content about Black America, we're trying to get one of our followers at least to donate $1 to the actual Twitter space. That would actually break the mold. That'd be the first time we actually got anybody to actually contribute in one of the spaces that Judge Joe Brown came to. So for any of our followers out there, if you can donate $1 to the nice Twitter space, $ Newstoter, it would be greatly appreciated. Let me go ahead to and we also have the vid.
Can I make a comment about that?
Yes, sir.
This isn't about wealth for me. I don't need it. I'm running a political campaign. The campaign needs it.
Yes, sir.
The
Yes.
site needs it. I mean, see, what's going on is when you get a celebrity, people say they don't need the money. They have a lot of money. But you have to understand, it's not about the celebrity. It's about the cause. See, sometimes when you support a cause, you're supporting yourself, and $1 for you is $1 for yourself. It's like you go to church and the preacher passes the collection plate. Is the money really going to the church building fund or missionary outreach, or is it a matter of being pimped and it's going to a new car for the preacher, or his wife? See, so what's going on here is I'm not pimping you. I'm not getting a dime out of this unless you send it to my campaign. And it's all about when you promote and support Newstoter, what you're doing is you're promoting and supporting yourself. So just because they had influence enough to get me on here, and remember, not that long ago, I was the #1 or #2 syndicated show in the whole country. So they're trying to bring you what I bring to the table and bring what others bring to the table, but they have cost of operation. You don't think I'm going to pay it all for them. So if you're getting a benefit out of this, support your own benefit. $1 for them is $1 for you. So
yes, sir. And you
keep
put
that in mind.
You put that perfect in for the first time. Let me give a shout out. We actually did get a donation. Shout out to Minister Ali and the People's Platform, and shout out to Original too. Thank you for your contributions on Cash App. Let me go ahead and get to that, Nika. And like I said, let's get somebody else up in the space that may want to speak or say something, guys. Because like I said, we're not going to keep Judge Joe Brown up in here long tonight. So definitely, we got a bunch of people up in there. We got almost 100 people up in the space. I know there's got to be somebody that wants to ask the judge something. If not, like I said, we're not going to keep the judge up in here all that long. So that, Nika, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Oh yeah, okay. So like now that we talked about like global national shit, I would love to ask Judge, because the judge, he wants to run probably what, like east of Louisiana in the southeast. I want to say Memphis is the second largest jurisdiction municipality behind like Jacksonville. Like when you think about it, Atlanta's smaller than Memphis. We know the metropolitan area of Atlanta is greater than Memphis, but
That's not even true either.
Oh, okay. Okay, I know. Memphis, what it intersects 3 states: Arkansas, Tennessee, Mississippi.
Yeah, you have West Memphis, Arkansas. You have Horn Lake. You have et cetera, Mississippi. One side of the street is Memphis. The other side is Mississippi. The only way you can tell is that in Mississippi, the streets are cleaner and they are better kept.
Okay. So what you would say like is the big? So I never been. I want to go to Memphis. I just went to Savannah. I've been to New Orleans, but I never been to Memphis. Is like that one jewel I'm missing in the Triple Crown of like these southern cities on these rivers with this rich history. So like I know, and the Memphis got the blues. Like it's an important city. That's why all these niggas rap so good out of there, because it's a music city. They just
it's all in it, but it's also the distribution center of the North American continent for
Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. The airport looks rinky-dink if you don't pay attention to the commercial runways. And then, if you dig a little further, you find that the commercial tonnage shipped out of Memphis is the largest in the whole world. Second place is Hong Kong, and it's about half of what's shipped out of Memphis. FedEx is here, UPS is here, the post office's bulk mail center is here, and many folk that do national, international shipping come through here. You ship it across the continent, it will eventually come through Memphis. Everything does, from automobiles to raw, unfinished paper products. So the problem with Memphis is some small-time punk Negroes that is boule folk who have insinuated themselves into being in charge. They can't get out in the streets. They can't get anybody to follow them. They've allowed the utility company to be used as petty cash for thievery to the point where if you take your dog out for a piss, he pisses on the sidewalk, everything breaks down for 3 days. So it's pretty pathetic. And I challenge my opponents, look, I dare you to go with me to some of the places in town I'm going to see if you walk out of there alive. Nobody will go out there. Even the newly elected sheriff, who's also running for mayor, he pumped out last month. We were out in a place where the people who live there decided to arm up and impose peace. That's the plan I'm going to help out with. And they had, the sheriff showed up 2 hours after the event started when he heard that I was there, somebody told him. He showed up in uniform, gun on hip, deputies, guns on hip. He didn't talk to anybody, stood up there looking uncomfortable with his arms folded, and he was scowling at the armed adults. But when 4 teenagers, 15 through I think it was 16, since I talked to them, showed up with Glocks literally stuck down the front of their pants so you could see them. He sits there and turns his head like he doesn't see it. I even say, hey, aren't you going to say anything? Get in uniform. I don't want to start an incident. So I went over and I talked to him and I got him to clear out. But you see, that kind of leadership is not here. It exists, but it's been suppressed because Memphis is probably the most corrupt city in America. And some people have turned it into a cash cow. They set up a lot of programs, a lot of projects, so they can steal plentifully from the petty cash. It is now the murder capital of the United States. It's the rape and kidnapping and carjacking capital and car burglary capital of the country. And just last night down on Beale Street, half block away from the Peabody Hotel, which is a famous place in Memphis, there was a big shooting. 8 people got wounded. It's even captured on video from start to finish. And nobody knows what to do with that. Now, me, I've already started brokering with the OGs for the street gangs about getting public peace back in here. I did that in the Bahamas about 15 years ago with the government and some of the organized crime elements, and it does work. You know what you're doing. But they don't want to go there because they're afraid to, and they're about the business of making money for themselves, not the people. So we have that problem, and somebody needs to get in and take it back, because right now the leadership's so poor that if everybody was suffering from epidemic diarrhea and a toilet paper shortage, you could know where a bank of porta potties were well stocked with butt paper. And the leadership in Memphis couldn't get anybody to follow them over there to do what they had to do. It's just that bad.
Alrighty.
I'll pass. Let me not pontificate.
I couldn't resist her to do a little politics.
All right. Let me go ahead real quick and give a shout out to Dominique, Niti, Lisa, Amiro, Carlos, Mark. Thank you guys for your contribution on Cash App. Thank you guys for your contribution on Cash App and PayPal and Venmo as well, too, guys. Definitely appreciate that. So thank you guys for the love. Let me real quick. I want to ask you. I'm gonna get to my man Original. I want to ask you this real quick because somebody on YouTube wants to ask you what's your opinion of the Alabama brawl, Judge? Because I know you saw it and just want to get what you think about exactly what went down.
You just said it. It was a brawl. We used to have those all the time before people punked out and started popping caps on each other because they were afraid to punch it out. I mean, I played football in high school and at UCLA for a while, but in high school in LA, I remember one season we went 2 or 3, 4 weeks in a row with brawls going on, a lot bigger than that. We had brawls where black students against black students from 2 mostly black or all black high schools, and at least 1 or 2 instances where it was some white high school, where it was preseason and it was a black high school. And on the other end, and we brawled. I mean, you see this in the movies and on TV. Usually they call it a barroom brawl, but it happened. So one question nobody asked is, okay, it was nice that the black folk came to the assistance of the black wharf head who was managing the wharf so that a certain cruise ship could dock. The question is who owns the cruise ship? And that was the beneficiary. So black folk were doing some good stuff when it came to citizens coming to the aid of another citizen keeping law and order. It wasn't for a black cause. It was to promote the interest of a large corporate tour boat industry. And meanwhile, the clowns on the pontoon fishing craft had been doing this year in year out. They got out on the river and played good old boy, got drunk and came back and got unruly. And people sometimes had brawls because of racial matters. Sometimes they had brawls just because. So it is what it is. I think the press has blown it way out of proportion. One thing that disturbs me about the whole thing, the most disturbing thing is this. Under most American law, you can't arrest anybody for a misdemeanor unless it occurred in an officer's presence or there is an outstanding warrant sworn out by an eyewitness. Here we have warrants sworn out based on video, and we don't have any authentication that the videos were not CGI, Photoshopped, or whatever. And there were no officers present, so we have warrants issued based on unverified cell phone video. That's a new step, and that's not a good one. So that bothers me from the point of view of being somebody who for literally 50 years has had to deal with these kind of things professionally. It's not a comfortable situation. But anyway, it was nice brawl. But I would comment on this: if you're going to be a security guard, or you're going to go down and do that, takes a martial arts brother to put up a good fight.
No, right. I heard somebody say, Judge, that he was that they were trying to say that I don't think he was actually a security guard, that he may have been some kind of captain or something on the boat. I don't know, but
because he worked for the same company that was manning the boat that was trying to dock. The rule
Hey, he's a dock worker. I live in Montgomery, Alabama. Yeah, I live there. So he was just a elder gentleman. He was like in his late 50s. He's a dock worker.
That's not elder.
yeah, late 50s ain't elder. Like you
Not to be getting jumped by people half your age. Like that man.
No.
He ain't your age.
Sorry if you mean my brother. name is Clifford Stewart, late of Los Angeles. He died from complications of an operation to correct some damage he did from doing one of his lines of business. We were going through LAX, and he had a condo in Prague, Czech Republic. His housekeeper said they needed fabric softener, so he put as much as he could in the way of cartons of Bounce fabric softener in his carry-on. TSA gave him a hard time. He copped an attitude. TSA told him to stand to the side since we were traveling together. I waited with him. He was calling LAPD. Two LAPD cops showed up. One was white, the other one was Asian. And when they got there, the white cop asked the TSA agent what the problem was. He said, that big guy over there got an attitude that needs adjusting. He said, who are you talking about? He said, the one in the beige shirt. He said, yeah, him. He's got a problem. And his Asian partner started over there, and the white guy grabbed him by the arm and said, hold on. He said, that's the guy I've been telling you about. So he kind of looked at the ground, thought a minute, then talked to the TSA guy, said, look, I'm going to give you a little unsolicited advice. If that's who you have the problem with, I'd suggest you make him smile, because there are not enough police in the airport to make that man do anything he doesn't want to do, even if we shoot him. Think of him as having a cape on his shoulders and an S on his chest, if you get the idea. He said, partner, we're out of here. And the Asian guy said, but the white guy said, look, man, I want to see my wife and you trying to get laid tonight. Let's get the hell out of here. Took 3 or 4 more steps, turned around and said, remember, make him smile. Now, the gentleman in question was 62 years old at the time. And Black Belt Magazine had and continued to do so a total of 15 years, designated him as, quote, probably the most dangerous human alive in North America. Now, he was 62 at the time. He died in 74, 75 from complications. He had some back injuries from some rough stuff. He'd kept going for years, so he decided to get it corrected, and the anesthesia wasn't right. He didn't really come out of it too well. But he was 62 at the time. So just keep that in context. 50-something is just when you learn how to do it. If you're in good health, you get all the nookie you want because you learn how to operate with it and how to work it. You just get to the top of your game and what you do for your profession or occupation in life. And you just found out a whole lot of facts that you still have the ability to put in play. You are a dangerous person. That may fade off later, but if you stay in good health, it never quite leaves unless you are massified and stumbling all over the place, doing crooked deals out of the White House. But, that's another story.
Yes, sir. Let me give a shout out to Mr. Taylor, too. Mr. Taylor, thank you for your contribution on Cash App. Let me go ahead and get to Original Millennial Mark. I'm gonna get to you as well, too. Original, what's up? How you doing tonight, Original?
Hey, greetings, everybody. Judge Brown, Judge Joe Brown, great to speak with you this evening. What I want to ask you is this. Now, I know you said they're trying to give you a hard time in Memphis, but I don't know if this issue has been raised. Okay, can you? I'm getting some feedback. No, I hear some feedback in my ear. I don't know if someone has raised this issue or not, but I'm on the internet and I see that Memphis is 64.6% black. And I want to know, what are the conditions up there for black people? Because I live in Atlanta, and the doofus that we have as mayor, when he ran for mayor, under his diversity and inclusion program, all he talked about was what he was going to do for gay folks. Now, I'm not against any other demographic, but there seems to be, with the Democratic Party, there seems to be this process of benign neglect for black folks, but all other demographics get whatever resources they need to do whatever they want to do. And I noticed you said, because I got a family phone call, so I didn't get to hear the whole program. But I noticed you said that that the news media was trying to ignore you and all this other, stuff that they do because they don't want a real black man to be in a position. They always go out and they support these punks, whether it be a black man or a black woman. But I do want to say I like what you said about promoting manhood and womanhood, so that our people can get back on the right track. But what these other boule folks have been doing it's beyond criminal. And so if you could respond to that, I would greatly appreciate it, because you seem to be the only black man that I hear that speaks on manhood and womanhood.
Okay, the phrase is protecting womanhood and promoting manhood. Now, I reiterated earlier on this thread, this space, that I was at a function at the Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBEW hall, yesterday. And it was a function given by Democratic women. It was supposed to be a mayor's function forum. It really wasn't. But after it was over, I just drifted around and I heard several women talking about how Reparations was an ideal cover to get money for the rainbow community. And that's just the mindset. This whole thing of trying to render masculinity toxic, to destroy the family, to put grooming of children for sexual purposes into the schools is just detestable, and it is not appropriate. Get your freak on in your bedroom. That's your right under the Constitution. Enjoy yourself. But when you start advocating things as public policy, then you become subject to pushback under the First Amendment. For people to start drifting off into the National Socialist Workers' Party syndrome, to do something about suppressing fair, equitable, and appropriate opposition, that's not acceptable. By the way, the National Socialist Workers' Party is known by its German acronym. It is spelled N-A-Z-I, Nazi. That's Adolf and his boys. So before we repeat that mistake, we need to take a look at what's going on in politics today in terms of instituting instruments, habits, and methods of oppression. It's really kind of scary what's going on out there. But thank you, and I'm going to change it. Already started on it. So we'll see where this goes, because to mention my name is to help me win the election. So it was kind of funny. Somebody sent me 2 articles last week where the local mainstream media was talking about the election, and they were talking about the candidates. They had their pictures and their names, and they didn't even mention me because they don't want it known. The general reaction is, "You running for me? Oh, hell yeah. Judge, why don't you run for me? Or I am. You are? Here. Oh, crap." So we've got some billboards up, and we're doing that door-to-door type thing. So, yeah. I'm going to make it not a sanctuary city. I'm going to make it a Mecca, and it will not be a sanctuary city. It will be a place that sanctifies common sense. And we are the largest largest predominantly black city in America. We have a black female chief of police, a black male sheriff. 65% of the police are black, 82% of the command authority is black, the same for the sheriff's department. 60% of the criminal court judges are black and female, and more than 70% of the jury pool is black. So there's no excuse for what's going on here, except up until recently we had hacked voting machines, and the other one is we had the contributors of some boule color. So it is what it is.
All right, thank you, Judge. Let me get to Millennial Mark. I guess Millennial Mark, we'll let you be the last actual speaker for the night. Like I said, we don't want to keep the judge too long.
All right, I appreciate it. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I appreciate you giving me the mic to speak. Judge, I did have a question for you. I've been following you heavily on Twitter. We've spoken a few times on here and on YouTube as well. One of the things I did want to point out really quick before I got to my question is I actually like the fact that you are running as a independent in Memphis, because it gives the people, the voter base there, something to do that they probably haven't ever done before, which is vote based off an agenda versus a party, which to the other brother's statement that he made saying how we're kind of seeing how the Democratic Party is moving and not really doing anything for us, and we see how they're doing things for other groups. Well, of course we should understand that the reason why they're not doing that is because they know that they have our vote pretty much in the bag. They don't have to really do anything for us. They're trying to build up a base within another group, so we as a people must understand that. But I did have a question for you, but I did just want to say also, I appreciate you running as an independent because, again, that whole voting based off agenda thing is important for us to begin to understand now. But my question for you is really based more on just the topic of Memphis. And my question is basically, what is your plan as far as kind of working directly with the police department there if you are elected mayor? Because we know that they get a overwhelming majority of the city's budget. So what would be your plan to kind of get the crime under control there with the amount of money that they bring in to remedy the issues that they have there? And that's all I have.
Uh-oh, Judge got knocked down the listener. Let's see if we can get him back up here real quick. He actually got knocked down the listener. That was a pretty good question, Mark. Let's see if we can get the judge back up here. He dropped down for a second. I'll see if we can get him. Hey, Judge, did you hear that question that Millennial Mark asked you?
I heard it. Okay, here's what I told the young cop. He was telling me that he was afraid to go down and patrol the neighborhood he grew up in. See, we've got a situation where 54% of the cops in Memphis grew up in Memphis, not just came to Memphis, they grew up here. And I said, look, I'm going to be your new boss. And if the old man goes down there, if you want to keep your job, you better damn sure follow him. Follow me. And that's what they've lacked. The morale is flat. The command authority is completely absent. Shit doesn't run downhill because there's nobody in charge of the damn thing. And a lot of people try to exploit the current mythology that's going around for their own pimp purposes. So it's not healthy, but things can be done. Now, I am right now engaged in brokering some public peace. I'm meeting with some of the OGs for some of the street gangs and other factions, and they're tired of the killing too, but they've got a problem with folk out of control who aren't in the gang or anything else. They're just running around, running loose, and they have nothing to live for, no cause, no purpose. And I've been kind of notorious, if not famous, in the Memphis area for making that kind of thing happen. So I, in a 10-year period, reduced the statewide recidivism rate for felons from 80% down to just 18 in my courtroom. And now, 30 years later, 25 years later, people walk up to me and thank me for getting them straightened out.
getting them squared away so they had a purpose in life and a reason for living. It's like drug addicts. You can't get anybody to act right if they're trying to die. So the first thing is get them to live, and if they don't mind dying, then they can quickly be converted into would-be heroes and sheroes because now they've got nothing to lose for doing the right thing. And the problem is once they hit rock bottom, then you can build them up or let them go on and die. So you give them a cause, a purpose, so they deal with duty, honor, responsibility, accountability, morality, ethics, sense of purpose, and they become people who are about public peace, dignity, and order, who can be brave and courageous when necessary, but otherwise men and women of peace. You give them a cause so they can look in the mirror and they can assess themselves. Have you done what you're supposed to do? Did you do it yesterday? Will you do it today so you can do it better tomorrow? Shame is a great way to get people to control themselves. Guilt is great to control people and get them to do what they ought to do. Preachers used to understand it, but now they don't talk about sin. They just talk about belief. So you have to do what you do as a motivational thing. And when you motivate people to do what they need to do and they start seeing the effects of it, it works. Now, last week, I was in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I went by the cupcake shop where Floyd got done in, and I talked to representatives of the community. We had a long private meeting, a couple of hours, and they were pissed off at a lot of folk who came in there talking about they're going to help. People were talking about defunding the police, and in Minneapolis, St. Paul, they actually did. And they talked about all of the people that got shot in a few weeks after Floyd that the press didn't even talk about because they had an agenda to push. They talked about hearing women scream late at night as they were getting raped because there was no police presence. And they talked about, finally, they got around to saying, since nobody's here to help us, we have to help ourselves. So they got some of these fluorescent lime green traffic control vests. They started going out and identifying some of the street people, and they managed to cook up some sources of money so they could pay these people to direct traffic and try to prevail with order. And where they live around the cupcake shop, they don't want the shop closed up, but some of the folk who from outside come in talking about they need to close it down and make a shrine out of it, but the people who live there don't want it. They talk about people getting injured or shot because that happens frequently since there's no police presence and the ambulances won't come in and pick anybody up. The police won't come in there unless they get a specific call, and they refuse to remove wounded or injured people out of there. So the people had to set up a stretcher force, so they put people on stretchers and carry them to the periphery where the police will approach and then call an ambulance under guard so they can take them out of there. So George Floyd has left them in a worse condition than before. So you have to understand that there are things that have to be done to put the community itself to work. Things can be done, but they need backup, and that's what cities are supposed to do, back up everybody. Because you can't say just leave it down there because it won't stay down there. It spreads. So everybody is in the pot together. You live in the city, there are other people that live there besides you. People above you and below you in economic circumstances. Everybody kind of has to hang in there together because if it's bad on one end, it will spread to the other end. So people have a vested interest in making what's going on where they live a better place. So that's just an interesting observation on a little bit of personal research.
You have to take charge. And the first thing you have to do is not what's being spread out there. Get rid of law and order. You have to impose it. And by the way, the law and order comes from the community itself, not what is imposed from outside. But that's it. I passed the mic.
All right. Thank you, Judge Joe Brown. We're not going to keep the space going any longer. I know that you've been pretty busy. I know you're traveling and you're campaigning and everything else as well, too. It's a Sunday night, so definitely appreciate you coming up in the space. I want to know if we could possibly get you to come in here maybe once a month. I had somebody ask a comment, said when the next time you're going to be in here, and I know you're so busy, so hopefully we can get you at least once a month up in the Twitter space if that's possible.
Okay, yeah, you can. Check with Dana.
Absolutely.
Dana and I fuss a lot, but I'm kind of her dad. I'm a little older than her actual dad, but, you know, we're good friends. So if you check with her, you can get the arrangements made. Miss Dana, you still listening in somewhere out there?
Yeah, she told me to go ahead and check with her too. So I'll definitely go through with Dana to just check and see exactly when you're available and you're free as well too. Because like I said, I know you're campaigning. One quick question, Judge, before we get ready to close out the space. I want to know what's the poll numbers looking like in Memphis? Have you seen any polls lately?
Well, the several that they've taken, I always win, even if I'm not mentioned. But they've taken to putting the polls out there without me being mentioned. But I win comfortably at every poll that puts me in it.
So it's a realistic chance that you may be the next mayor of Memphis. Then.
Yeah, I'm going to make it a mecca for the country. We're going to use the Mississippi River to generate hydroelectric power. We're going to use wind energy. We're going to come up with some stuff since a lot of these solar panels are out there. We can put solar farms on top of schools and city office buildings. I'm going to take charge of the schools again. We're going to reform the police, and instead of them having civilian oversight, we're going to have them run and managed by civilians, just like the Department of Defense. You have a civilian Secretary of Defense, the Army, Navy, Air Force, etc., subsecretaries. We're going to do like that, so there'll be a civilian head of homicide, uniform patrol, sex crimes, traffic, you name it, etc. We're going to ramp up the barge traffic, including getting it to come in from Europe directly. They load barges up over in Europe, put them on these ocean-going barge transports, get them to New Orleans, float the barges out, bring them up to Memphis to the world's largest barge unloading facility, put them directly into the U.S. transport net. They're 4.6 miles from the exact center of it when they get off of the barges, and that's when they first run stuff through customs. Ford and Cadillac are putting electric car plants right outside Memphis. That's likely to have a population of expansion of maybe 250,000 that will probably get annexed to the city, and somewhere around 50,000 new jobs within 3.5 to 4 years. We want to make this the new Detroit. We're the center of manufacture for the new type of automobile, the electric vehicle, which will be mandated in California in 2032 and in a lot of other states around the country about the same time, and also by the 7 largest car makers in the world who want to move to Memphis for manufacturing purposes if they could get some cooperation on the folk here. Rationalize everything in terms of how much benefit goes to the citizens versus how much is spent. A policy of not one damn dime for anything except absolute essentials until the infrastructure is restored, the streets are repaired, cleaned up, and things are safer out there. Doing something to reach out to the street folk, doing something about homelessness. When I say something, I already have a detailed plan. We've got a lot of things to do. Zoning should not be rationalization that will stand the light of day. Another thing, use the city attorney's office to file lawsuits to get money back from those who have defrauded the city and stolen from it. Get a lot of folk who are crooks put in jail for a lot of embezzlement that they've done at the public trough, laundered money through the city and stolen from it outright. We're going to get them, and we're going to do something that should have been done some time ago when some clowns decided to divest the city of its interest in the educational system and turn it over to the county. I'm looking at a lawsuit filed by the city against the county's Board of Education for fraud and failure to deliver on their compact to provide appropriate education. We're going to do a lot of things here. We're going to change the banking system around by having the city spread its deposits so other banks will be able to extend lines of credit to the middle class and ordinary working people. I want to do something about health care that is completely novel. The city has a very large group plan for its employees. Group plans are always cheaper than individual plans. What I'm going to do is implement a profound change. The group plan will be open to enrollment by ordinary residents. That will expand the size of the group. It will rationalize the costs so they are lower and what gets delivered will be greater. And it'll be the first time in America that anybody has actually done something to improve the health care benefits for ordinary people. So I've got some ideas like that. What is going to be happening with the power out of the Mississippi? Well, in Asia and Africa, they use these modular hydroelectric generators that look like large-size outboard motors. In fact, but they're not so big you can't put one in the back of a pickup truck. You don't need concrete emplacements. You need rafts or these pontoon floating wharves that we have so many of down here in these small boat arenas. So there'd be no disruption environmentally to worry about. And instead of having to spend a lot of money on storage facilities because the tides only run a few hours of the day, the mighty Mississippi runs 24/7. And we will have that available, and that will allow petroleum to be used for building rather than burning. And it won't displace the petroleum workers, and it will completely revitalize the American energy system and industry. So we have some things we'll get done. But you have to get me in because nobody seems to have a clue as to what this is all about or how to do it. So if you want a Mecca, a new Detroit, a new New York, a new Chicago, a new Los Angeles, so Dallas or Houston, where everybody can come to with real opportunity, it'll be Memphis if you get me in. Now, remember, $1 for you, me, is $1 for yourself. A vote for me is a vote for yourself. So it's JJB in 2023. Send Brown downtown. Take back your town. And that's what it's all about. Now, enough for that. I gotta go.
Yes, sir.
And Judge Joe, call me when you can, since I'm the one that reigns.
And on that note, everybody, we're going to get ready to close the space out. So thank everybody for coming to this Sunday night special space with Judge Joe Brown. We will see you guys tomorrow night, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always, in the Newstoter space. Peace. Everybody be safe. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Peace.